Hello my dear students، أهلا بيكم طلبة وطالبات الصف الخامس الابتدائي ودرس جديد في مادة الرياضيات تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. Our lesson today is the probability. What is meant by probability? The probability is having an event to occur or to happen. Is it possible or how possible it is to happen? First, we will discuss the experimental probability. But first, we will talk about some facts about the term probability itself. Okay, probability is the likelihood that an event will occur, or when I say or ask myself, if I have this experiment going on, I want to know how or how many times this event will occur. Is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? So this is what is called probability. Okay? It can be written as fraction or a decimal or a percentage, and we will see how. For example, 1/4, it is the probability that an event happens. Okay? If I have 4 possible outcomes, if I have 4 possible outcomes, and this is what is written at the base here, okay? And the probability that only one of them occurs or takes place, then it will be 1/4 or 0.25, and we learned this last year that 1/4 or quarter is equal to 0.25, or it can be written as a percentage, which is here 25%. طب يعني ايه؟ 1/40 في probability بتقول لي ايه؟ For example أنا عندي box، البوكس ده فيه جواه 4 colors of balls، white, blue, red and green، وأنا بحط إيدي أنا pick one of these balls من غير ما أكون شايف، يعني البوكس بتاعي is a blind one، تقيل، أنا مش شايف إيه اللي جواه. So I just pick one of the balls، أنا مش عارف هو أنهي لون. ف say for example the probability إنه أنا I pick a white ball، أو احتمالية إن أنا آخد white ball 1/4، لأنه أنا عندي جوه البوكس ده 4 balls only. Okay? One of them is white. ف probability إنه أنا I take one white ball is 1، عشان هي في بس one white ball over 4 اللي هم ال 4 balls الموجودين عندي جوه البوكس. So this is how we write it. This is how I write the probability. In other words, it's 25%، عشان هي 1 من الأربعة ف it's الربع. 1/4 or 25%. Okay? Now, 2 more terms. For example, here I have 1/2, which is the half, and again last year we took that half is equal to 0.5 in a decimal form. ف I can write it half. لو for example نفس البوكس ده كان عندي فيه 2 white balls، 1 red and 1 green، يبقى when I put my hand to pick one of the balls, the probability to pick a white one is 2 from the 4, okay? 2 from the 4 balls that I have. 2/4 is equals to 1/2. So 1/2 is the half. It is the half, and it can be represented as a percentage as 50%. Okay? Now I'll move to another example. The 3/4. The 3/4 here, which is 3/4, We learned last year that it is equal to 0.75 in decimal form as well, okay? Or 75%. Now, the last one, I have 1. If all the balls in my box are white balls, يبقى definitely when I put my hand to pick one of these balls لازم هيطلع معايا a white one لأنه أصلا البوكس مش فيه غير white balls. فأكيد أي وقت هحط إيدي to pick one of the balls لازم هيطلع عندي a white ball. And it's going to be here, the probability to pick one white ball is 1 and or 100%. ودي اسمها a certain event. ده sure it will happen. عشان ما عنديش إمكانية تانية. أنا ما عنديش غير white balls. فلازم when I pick one لازم هتطلع white. So this is called a certain or a sure event. Okay? We'll talk about more facts regarding this. The probability is always between 0 and 1. يعني إيه؟ يعني أنا عندي 0 دي معناها إنه this event will never happen. It is impossible to happen. زي لو عندي نفس البوكس of balls اللي احنا اتكلمنا عليه ده، احنا قلنا إنه عندي فيه white, blue, red and green. طيب لو قلت the probability of picking a black ball from this box ده ممكن يحصل؟ أكيد لأ، لأنه أصلاً البوكس ما فيهوش black balls. ف how can I pick one? It's impossible, and that's why we call this an impossible event. An impossible event when its probability is 0, okay? And 1, it is, as we said, it's a certain or a sure event. A certain or a sure event. Between them, عندي بقى other probabilities. لأنه if I have a box with mixed colors of balls inside, كل مرة باخد one of these balls, it depends على how many balls do I have inside and their colors, how many balls of each color أنا عندي and how many trials do I do. إيه اللي بيتقال ده؟ We will know it now when we study the terms related to this lesson. Okay, here its probability is 0. It means that the event will never happen. Example, the probability that I fly to the moon next week. I'm not going to fly to the moon next week or anytime soon. So this probability is equal to 0. Okay, when the probability is 1, this means that the event will always happen. As we said, it is a sure or certain event. Like here, the probability that Ramadan will come every year. This is a fact, so it's a certain event. Now, terms or definitions that we will meet in this lesson and we need to understand. The term experiment, okay? An experiment is an activity involving a chance of occurrence as tossing a coin. An experiment دي تجربة أنا بعملها and I have to have an outcome. لما بعمل experiment لازم بيبقى عندي ناتج. An experiment is an activity that involves a chance of occurrence. زي هنا tossing a coin. When I toss a coin, the coin has a head and a tail. When I toss a coin, لازم هيطلع لي one of the two outcomes. Okay? لازم هيطلع عندي يا head يا tail. So this is called an experiment. طيب. What does it mean the word trial? Trial جاية من try, to try something. Okay? So a trial اللي هي محاولة. كم مرة حاولت عشان أطلع نتائج أو outcomes بتاعة experiment بتاعتي. Trial is each repetition or observation هنا احنا اخدين الكوين as an example، انما في experiments تانية كتير جدا ممكن تتعمل. So here it's each repetition or observation of a coin. Each time you toss a coin is a trial. كل مرة فيها بحذف الكوين في الهواء عشان اشوف الاوتكم اللي هيجي لي head او tail، ده بيبقى اسمه trial. Okay? The event. What does it mean here? Is a set of one or more outcomes, like getting a tail when you toss a coin is an event. Getting a head when you toss a coin is an event. This is called the event, is a set of one or more outcomes. Okay? زي ما اخد يجي لي اعمل كذا 4 trials مثلا، 3 of them هيطلعوا tail, so I have 3 events. Okay? So this is the set of outcomes that I get when I make my experiment. Okay? Now, what is an outcome? An outcome is a possible result of an event. An outcome of flipping a coin is a head. An outcome of flipping a coin is a head. لما أنا عملت الevent of or trial of 4 times of tossing a coin, I got the outcome here, which is a head or a tail, it depends. Okay? And the list of all outcomes that I can get, I have to put it in braces like a set, because this is called the set of outcomes. The set of outcomes. And I list them inside my braces, like the possible outcomes that I can get, head and tail. هي الكوين ليها أي وجه تاني غير الhead and tail؟ طبعا لا. يبقى ال possible outcomes اللي ممكن تجيلي whenever I make my experiment هيجيلي يا head يا tail، ما عنديش possible outcome تاني. Okay? And we have something called sample space. We will meet the sample space in the theoretical probability, not in the experimental probability. Okay? So this is in the second part of this lesson. So the sample space is the list of all possible outcomes as in rolling a die. My possible outcomes are die الزهر اللي بنلعب بيه دي. The possible outcomes are the set of elements 1 2 3 4 5 6. الزهرة ما فيهاش غير numbers from 1 to 6. تاني كمان list of possible outcomes أو sample space لما بtoss a coin or flip a coin, it's head and tail. Okay? So now I have another expression which is called random experiment. Random experiment is an experiment that has no fixed result. دي experiment بتتعمل أنا ما أقدرش أتحكم في الريزلتس بتاعتها، أنا بعملها وبستنى أشوف what does it have to give me, what does it have to offer. هيطلع لي إيه من الإكسبيرمنت دي، ما حدش يقدر يتحكم فيها. So this is called a random experiment اللي هي فيها حظ، أنا وحظي. Okay? So now we'll start the first part of the probability lesson, which is the experimental probability. Okay? What does it mean, the term experimental probability? Experimental probability, it is the specific techniques used in conducting a particular experiment in which neither the subjects of the experiment nor the people administering the experiment has the ability to affect the results. يعني دي experiment بعملها ليها techniques معينة I have to follow عشان تطلع نتيجتها مظبوطة قدر الإمكان، والإكسبيرمنت دي الحاجات اللي أنا بستعملها فيها زي الكوين، زي الداي، زي البولز، زي حتى لو بعمل study على students أو whatever، هما ما يقدروش يتحكموا في نتيجة الإكسبيرمنت دي. And at the same time the people administering the experiment، يعني say أنا اللي هعمل الإكسبيرمنت دي، أو ناظر المدرسة بتاعة الطلبة، أو الكوتش بتاع فريق الرياضة اللي في نادي المعين، أو whatever، أو اللعيبة اللي بيستعملوا داي أو كوين، ما يقدروش هم يتحكموا فيها، هم بيعملوها والنتائج اللي بتطلع بتبقى according to الداتا اللي هم استعملوها في الاكسبيرمنت دي، فمحدش يقدر يتحكم في نتيجة الاكسبيرمنت. اوكي؟ And it is called experimental probability because it is based on an experiment. واسمها experimental probability لأنه أنا هنا عندي الأساس إنه هي على أو معمولة بإكسبيرمنت. أوكي؟ لازم فيها تجربة عشان أقدر أطلع الناتج. I don't guess، مش بخمن، مش بطلع من دماغي بالنتيجة. So it is stating what actually happened. يعني هو لازم هيكون ده حصل، ده حقيقي حصل، مش تخمينات من حد أو مش معرفة سابقة للموضوع. لازم أكون عملت experiment وطلع لي outcomes. Okay? And of course, the more the trials I do, the more my results are accurate. زي مثلا أنا عندي لما بعد في فريق الكرة مين بيلعب كرة، مين بيلعب swimming، مين بيلعب tennis and so on. لما بعمل trials كتير أو بدخل عدد أكبر من الناس اللي بعمل عليهم الاكسبيرمنت دي، أكيد طبعا الاوتكم اللي بيطلع لي بيبقى accurate أكتر من أنا لو استعملت عدد أقل. أوكي؟ طيب how can we apply it؟ أو إيه الرول اللي أنا بستخدمها في كتابة الإكسبيرمنتال probability أو في إن أنا أطلع بالأوتكم أو الناتج بتاع الإكسبيرمنتال probability. Let's go to the board and see. Okay, dear friends, now we will learn how to use a rule or what is the rule to get the probability of outcomes or having an outcome to take place. So, a probability is, probability of having an outcome, it is the number of trials and outcome occurs over the total number of trials. It is the number of trials of an outcome to occur over the total number of trials. Yani how many times I tried or how many trials did I do to get an outcome over the whole for this outcome to happen over the total number of trials. So I have here, it's P equals N over T. Or if I have this triangle of rules, it is N, then P and T. يعني إيه؟ يعني probability الانسر بتاعها إنه كام مرة الإيفنت بتاعي حصل which is the N على كام مرة أنا أصلا جربت. Okay? which is the T. طيب لو أنا عندي مثلا probability وعايز أجيب number of times الأوتكم ده جه وعندي P وال T يبقى هنا N equals P times T وال P equals N divided T and the T equals N divided P. يعني لو عندي N وال P وعايزة T يبقى N divided P gives me T. ولو عندي N وال T وعايزة P so it's N divided T. ولو عندي P and T أو probability وال total number of trials يبقى N أو اللي هي number of trials اللي حصل فيها إن أنا أخدت outcome اللي أنا بسأل عليه هتبقى equals to P times T. Okay, that's all for this rule and we will use it a lot in this lesson. Okay, let's go back to our exercises. Okay, guys, we'll take a couple of examples to explain more or understand more what's going on. So here, the first example, May and Adam were playing with a coin. Adam tossed the coin 25 times and May recorded the outcome of every trial in the following table. Okay? They've got head 13 times and tail 12 times. They tossed a coin 25 times. When they did so, our outcome اللي جالي إنه الhead كان 13 times and the tail is 12 times. طيب, if I want to know the probability of getting a head, يبقى هكتب a number of heads أو number of the wanted outcome or the desired outcome أو اللي أنا بسأل عليه اللي هو getting a head اللي هو 13 over the total number of tosses أو الترايل بتاعتي زي ما قلنا قبل. يبقى 13 over 25 long division guys 0.52. Okay, the probability of getting a tail, here they've got 12 times a tail. يعني جالهم the number of tails اللي جالهم أو outcome أو desired outcome is 12 over the total number of tosses or trials which is 25. Again, long division, the answer will be 0.48. خلاص, we have got the answer for the probability. طيب, what if applying on this experiment, or I will use the outcomes of this experiment, and I want to know the predicted number of getting a head when tossing the coin 100 times, okay, and getting a tail when I toss it 100 times, getting a head when tossing 500 times, and getting a tail when tossing it 500 times. Already we have got the percentage في اللي فاتت أخدنا ال outcome بتاعها. كل واحد فيهم هعمله multiply ال desired هنا أو ال number of trials هنا اللي أنا بستعملهم المرة دي. So here P times T equals 0.52, the answer of the probability of getting a head, times 100 times اللي هو ال times of trials دلوقتي اللي هي أو ال total number of trials اللي هي 100. The answer will be 52 times as you see. Now I will apply this with the tail. 0.48 times 100 equals 48 times. Now I will move to the second part, which is the predicted number of getting a head when tossing it 500 times. So the same, P times T, it's 0.52 times 500, and the answer is 260 times. And then again, the predicted number of getting a tail, the same, P times T, 0.48 times 500 equals 240 times. Now let's go to answer another example on the board, okay? Okay, another example, it almost have the same idea. Here, check the following table, then answer. I have some students in a class or in a school. 20 of them, they are playing football, 15 are playing basketball, and 5 are playing volleyball. Okay, the first question, if I know that the number of students in the class is 40 students, by the way, if he doesn't give me the number of the students, I can get it by counting how many students are there overall playing sports. Not only I don't need them to give me the number of the students. I can get it myself, okay? So here, if I have 40 students in the class, and each student joins only one activity, and one of the students was chosen randomly. يعني عندي 40 أهم 20, 15, and 5. I'll choose one of them. ومش عارف هو in which team, so I choose him randomly or her. So here, find the following. The probability that this student practices football, the probability that this student practices basketball, and after that we'll get the probability of a student practicing volleyball and practicing nothing. We'll move a question at a time. So here, the probability that this student practices football. How many students do I have practicing football? As you see here in the table, I have 20 students practicing football from a total of 40 students. Okay? Then here I have 20 students practicing football from an overall of 40 students. Okay? Then the probability that this student practices football B will be equal N over T. So it will be 20 over 40. So here 20 over 40. Of course, when I get a number like this one, I have to simplify it to the simplest form. Okay? Don't forget to simplify. Don't just get me the probability and leave it as it is. You have to simplify it to the simplest form. So it's 20 over 40, which is equals to, both of them can be divided by 10. So it will be 1 over 2 equals 0.5 or 50%. Then the probability of having a student that plays football is 50%. Now, the probability that this student practices basketball. How many students do we have here practicing basketball? I have 15 students. So I have 15 students and 40 students, the overall number of all the students I have in this class. So my probability will be 15 over 40, and by simplifying, both of them are in table 5. 15 divided 5 is 3 and 40 divided 5 is 8. It will be 3 over 8. Type. What if I am asking about the volleyball? The probability that the student practices volleyball. I have only 5 students practicing volleyball from 40 students in this class. So the answer here will be, the answer here will be 5 over 40. 5 divided 5 is 1. 40 divided 5 is 8. So the probability is going to be 1 over 8. The probability that the student doesn't practice anything, كلهم بيلعبوا رياضة, so it will be 0. And if the number of students is 240, predict the number of students who practice football. قلنا إنه الفوتبول they were half times 240 is 120 students. And that's all for this lesson. We'll go back. Okay, dears, this was the experimental probability. I hope that you understood every single part of it today. See you next time. Study well. Bye.